I've lived in Birmingham all my life. All my family lives here. Both my parents, who are no longer with us, but also my children and my grandchildren. We all live in Birmingham. Love the city. Really passionate about it. And we can't have this conversation without talking about the current situation, where we can see with the largest council within Europe, which is a council that I used to work for, done 31 years there, and the challenges that Birmingham are facing now around the bankruptcy. To an outsider listening in, it sounds horrific, and it is horrific because I know it's been going on for years. But then there's us who are sitting alongside that as the NHS and the Mental Health Trust, and which includes Birmingham and Solihull. We're still championing the city because it is an amazing place to work. It is, that's exactly what it is. So, Dave, again, just to get your spin, how do we juxtapose the position of actually, we're Birmingham and it's a great place to work. It's a city of great diversity. It's a sanctuary. It's all those kind of adjectives that we use, and yet there's a big elephant in the room around the bankruptcy situation.
I think we've got to be clear first, Beresford, exactly what that is. So there was things they've done in the past that haven't been resolved, and they're just coming home to roost, and it's in terms of equal pay claims. The thing is, we're not clear enough yet, and I don't think they've been clear enough, and they would admit this. They're not clear enough yet as to actually what it means in terms of services on the ground and how they would deliver services alongside us. So we are heavily dependent as a mental health trust on social workers and people from the local authorities generally. What we do need to understand is exactly what it means and how do we help them alongside this. We've got to argue the toss in terms of what's important to us and the people we serve and hold them accountable. But at the same time, it's really important we work with them to understand how they redesign or how they deliver services.
Okay, brilliant, Dave. I'm just gonna hold you there just because we've got to go to a break, and we'll certainly pick it up right after this break. See you in a short while. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our weekly health and wellbeing program. What shape are you in? Thank you again for your time and your effort for taking the time to call maybe. We're speaking to our Executive Director of Finance, Dave Tomlinson, and we're talking about all the issues to do with finance and managing a trust it's one of the largest trusts in, I'm going to say Europe, but I probably should say the region.
I'll go with the world.
Yeah, you're going to go with the world, Dave. Okay, I'm happy to go with the world. As long as my finance director is there with me, I'm going to go with the world. We were talking about what an amazing city this is to work in, and it's really important that we understand the dynamics of the city council's bankruptcy and how we work together to try and understand the issues. And Dave was just, sharing with us a real insight really into how we keep moving forward. So Dave, just to remind us, the elephant in the room, it's the bankruptcy in the city, but here we are, me and you talk waxing lyrical about what a fantastic city is to work in.
Okay, so I think the real difficulty right now is we simply don't know what it really means in terms of services. Now, the council trying to work that through at the minute and understand it itself and be clear about it, and that's starting to emerge. The other thing that's a bit difficult to understand is whether there'll be any central government intervention, and that's the bit that's difficult. What is really disappointing is seeing some of the political game playing going on, but I'm not going to talk about that. What I'm going to talk about is what we can do and how we can work alongside them to maintain services. So we've really got to understand what it means, what we could do to help, and how do we work on the ground. So we're very dependent on social workers. They're the bedrock of trying to move people through the system. And it's essential we work with the council to help them in that area, to understand what the plans are and what we need to do. How do we change to adapt currently? But more importantly, how do we make sure we can sustain services so they're better when we come out the other side? Because we will come out the other side at some stage. But it's the lack of clarity at the minute that is the problem. And that's the difficulty. The danger is we can talk it up into being more than it is. And for me, it's about what do we know and what do we think? And I think it's really important we go on what we know. So as I understand at this stage, nothing's actually changed right now, but it is being clear about what that means and when it is going to change and how it affects services. And it's important we have those discussions. And they do. Both councils, both Birmingham and Solihull, play a full and active part in that local health and social care system. So the chief execs, etc., they work alongside the NHS in an open way to work through things together. And that's one of the really important things. It's not about one organisation failing or one succeeding. It's about the entire system and standing together and working it through.
Brilliant. 0121 772 8892. You might have a position in terms of what you think about recently the local council announcing bankruptcy, and it looks as if it's going to be managed by central government. I'm not sure if that's a good idea myself. But as you've just heard from Dave, who is, he's got some experience around finance, it's got to be said. He said, actually, we need to be clear on what the picture is. Let's be clear on what the picture is before we start responding. And then once we're clear on that, actually, the responsibility is all ours together. Social workers, the voluntary sector, third sector, just to give us an idea of what it is to be working alongside each other to try and resolve this horrible situation. And again, with the kind of budgets that Dave has been talking about, 500 billion, 300 million, and then we're going to talk about commissioning, but also the fact that the ICB, where we're looking to work in collaboration, not only with the City Council, but also our other partners, and making things, as Dave says, easier for people. Dave, that's a challenge, my friend.